a lot of question marks about Super Bowl 46, but I think it's going to be one of the ones that you'll see on the classic channels in years to come. This is going to be a good one. Once again, I'd like to thank all my listeners for tuning in to the Babethomherman Show with your host, Herman Thomas. This is our first broadcast, actually, on 750, Power 750 AM WAUG, and also on power750.com. This show is sponsored by Ia Natural Skincare Studio, located on 711 Iredell, that's IREDELL Street. So give Eugenia a call today at 919-416-1490. Once again, that's 919-416-1490. Fellas, also remember, with Valentine's Day coming up, she can provide that special facial, manicure, pedicure for that very special person in your life. Since it's Super Bowl 46 coming up tomorrow, let's stay on the topic of football. You know, it's football fever time, since this is the last big game football-wise. This past Wednesday was National Signing Day for college football, and of course, we all know that Alabama, it depends on what recruiting service you're looking at, that ranks the top 10 rivals, which is very credible, has Alabama number 1, Texas 2, Florida number 3, number 4 is Ohio State, number 5 Stanford, 6 the Michigan Wolverines, 7 USC, 8 and 9 are ACC teams, 8 being Florida State Seminoles, 9 the University of Miami Hurricanes. They, once again, they are going to be a team that's probably going to get some type of penalty from the NCCU. They are in the top 10. Number 10 is Oklahoma. Going back to Miami, I've seen at least 3 other recruiting services has Miami in the top 6. So that's amazing that Ohio State and Miami, 2 teams that would definitely be on some type of penalties in the next few seasons, are in the top 10 as far as recruiting class. Also, USC coming off of probation, I think they'll be eligible to go to a boldish upcoming season. They finished once again at number 7. So it all depends on what recruiting service, but all recruiting services have the defending champion Alabama Crimson Tide with the number 1 recruiting class, college football, for 2012. I think a funny story I heard was Casanova McKenzie, the young man from Birmingham, Alabama, that signed with Auburn. A couple of reporters asked Casanova why he chose Auburn over Clemson, because Clemson thought that they had Casanova coming to their program, and Casanova, it was funny that he said that during his official visit to Clemson, he didn't see a Chick-fil-A, which is his favorite fast food restaurant to eat at. He said that there wasn't one in sight, but I found out very funny because I asked a few Clemson sources. I've never been to visit the campus of Clemson University, but they said there are a couple of Chick-fil-A's on campus. So it makes you wonder, where in the world the recruiters were taking this young man. Why didn't they find out what he liked to eat rather than to go to the campus cafeteria? It's just an amazing story. Or maybe the main reason the young man didn't want to hurt their feelings is the shellacking they took from West Virginia in the Orange Bowl. Maybe that's the reason. He just, they could have just said, hey, we did fire the defensive coordinator, which they did. But I just found that to be very interesting. A very discouraging story came from the LSU coach, Les Miles. After, I know he's frustrated after being beaten in the BCS Bowl game by Alabama, but come on, I thought this coach had more class than what he showed on Wednesday when he dissed quarterback Gunnar Kyle. Kyle, who chose to go to Notre Dame instead of LSU after pledging to attend LSU. This is a grown man, head coach. I expected a little more class from Les when he got up in front of the LSU crowd and he stated on signing day, listen to this, talking in reference to Gunnar. He stated that he didn't have the chess it took to lead the LSU program. I thought that was very unprofessional on his part. He owes this young man an apology, not just this young man, but his family. The young man, these young kids change their mind. It's a lot of pressure You're asking a 18-year-old kid or 18-year-old young man to make a decision early in his high school career, and some of these young men make verbal commits and later on change their minds by National Signing Day. So that's part of the game. Just like coaches change their minds during the season and lie all the time. You know, when a good job comes open or another college position comes open that catches their eye, they'll sit there and tell a recruit that, you know, I'm staying, and then after they sign them or whatever, they'll leave this program for other program for greener pastures. So I don't know why he was so upset over that, and I wouldn't be too surprised if Notre Dame's current coach Brian Kelly had some words for Les Miles in reference to that. Also, some sad news, very sad news coming from the college football world is our hearts go out to the family of the Louisiana Tech family, and also the family of sophomore running back Tyrone Duplessis, who was found in his off-campus apartment early Thursday morning. So our hearts, thoughts, and prayers go out to the Duplessis family as well as the Louisiana Tech family. Duplessis was, of course, a sophomore running back. Certainly some sad news coming out of the Louisiana Tech community. Once again, I'd like to thank you, the listener, for tuning in this early Saturday morning, which is, of course, my birthday. Happy birthday to me. But I won't spend a lot of time on this broadcast or future broadcasts recapping games that have already taken place. You may ask why. Why? Because with the internet and with ESPN, yesterday's news is old news by midday the next day. Let me state that once again. Let me be more clear on the time slot. Yesterday news is old news, let's say not just midday, but by 12 o'clock p.m. is old news. So I won't spend a lot of time on recapping. One thing we will cover is ACC sports of local interest, and that will include teams such as North Carolina State, the Wolfpack, the Duke Blue Devils, the UNC Tar Heels, and also the North Carolina Central Eagles, as well as the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. Now let's get it straight here. I'm not here just to cover men's sport. I do have great interest in women's sports for all these schools, especially in particular basketball. Know that, and I think there's a lot of interest, and it should be in the men's sports, but I think the women's sports deserve its share of coverage, and it will get that coverage from Babethomherman. It will definitely get that coverage from me. Also, we will be covering NHL Pro Hockey. We do have Pro Hockey here in the RDU area. If you don't know, my goodness, I don't know where you've been hiding at. You have the 2006 World Champion Carolina Hurricanes, and they will get coverage from Babethomherman. So those of you that listen to or have an interest in hockey and National Hockey League, you will get updates from Babethomherman. The current ACC standings in the men's division, you have Duke University is a three-way tie for first place. Duke, North Carolina, Florida State at 6-1. Duke, of course, depends on what polls you're looking at. AP poll has them, looks like at number, I think the AP poll has them at number 7. ESPN has them at number 5. It all depends on who you look at. North Carolina, AP has North Carolina Tar Heels at number 5, ESPN number 6. But the Tar Heels and Duke are both currently 19-3. Florida State is surprising a lot of people at 6-1 in the division, at 15-6 overall. Local interest, North Carolina State currently in 5th place at 5-3. After starting off pretty hot in the league, they came out of that slump the other night with a great win over Boston College up at Boston College, and they're 16-7 overall. Wake Forest, I don't know if there's any help for them guys this season. A woeful 2-6, 9th place in the league, 11-11. Nothing much to say about that, but they can only improve. Only room for improvement for Wake Forest men's basketball. Let's go over briefly some of the scores, recent scores. Duke University men with a big win over Virginia Tech, 75-60 up in Blacksburg, and that was a great win tomorrow or is it today? Saturday. Oh, I'm getting my days mixed up. UNC and Maryland at College Park later on today. It's going to be a great game. Look forward to that. UNC with the injury to Dexter Strickland. There's going to be questions of who's going to give point guard, probably All-American, I would say All-American point guard, Kendall Marshall, a rest, a breather, because Dexter would switch off and give Kendall a break when Dexter came off 2 guard to play point. So it's going to be interesting because Maryland does have a couple of good guards, young guards that are probably going to give them a headache all game. So it's going to be a very interesting game. Wake Forest, of course, at the RBC visiting North Carolina State at 1 p.m. Once again, Wake Forest can only improve. And tomorrow, Super Bowl Sunday, you have Miami visiting Duke over at Cameron. I think that's a 3 p.m. tip-off. So, you'll have time to watch a game or two before the Super Bowl festivities and that long pregame festivities. You can take you a little breather and just watch a basketball game before the Super Bowl, which kicks off at 6:30 p.m. on tomorrow. In the women's ACC division, you have Duke women at 9-0 at first place, Miami at 8-1, Duke 18-3 overall, Miami 19-3, UNC at third. Of local interest, UNC Tar Heels in third place at 6-2, 16-5 overall. North Carolina State, oh my goodness, ninth place at 4-6, 14-9 overall. Wake Forest women, just like the men, 2-7, 12-10 overall. Only room for improvement. North Carolina State with a couple of tough losses this season. They could very easily be 7-3. Very easily could be 7-3. Duke currently ranked number 5. They will probably drop down a few notches after losing to UConn on Monday night, 61-49. UConn beating the Duke women at Cameron Indoor Stadium once again on Monday night, 61-49. I think the women, Virginia travels to the North Carolina Tar Heels. Tomorrow you have, looks like Boston College will be hosting Wake Forest University. Also on Super Bowl Sunday, you have Virginia also visiting North Carolina State. Duke had a great win on Thursday night over Wake Forest, 75-43. And Georgia Tech, just like I said, North Carolina State could easily be 7-3. Georgia Tech with a great win over NC State in overtime, 75-68 down in Atlanta. So the Wolfpack women I'm telling you, they could be 7-3. I would even say they could easily be 8-2 in the league. So just a couple of tough losses for the Wolfpack women basketball team. That program is certainly on the rise, but it just seems that they just can't put it together to close out games and just play a complete game. But certainly that team is headed in the right direction. Also would like to make a correction to that Duke women's basketball score against UConn. UConn beat Duke 61-45, not 61-49. Once again, a correction on that score is UConn 61-45 over Duke on Monday night. A couple of big rivalry games next week. Beginning Monday, you have the UNC Lady Tar Heels traveling over to Cameron Indoor Stadium to face the Duke Blue Devils. And on Wednesday night, you have the Duke Blue Devils men's basketball team traveling over to the Dean Dome to play the UNC Tar Heels. Unfortunately, my time is up, and I do thank you, the listener, for tuning in to the Babethomherman Show with your host here, Herman Thomas, on Power 750 WAUG and Power750.com. Be sure to tune in next week at the same time at 7:30 a.m. as we go over more local ACC action and also Carolina Hurricanes hockey. Thank you and have a Babe Tom Herman kind of week. Goodbye.